In the depths of London's East End, amidst the labyrinthine maze of poverty-stricken streets, there existed a place shrouded in misery and hardship. It was a place where life ground to a halt in its relentless march. It was the workhouse. This desolate institution served as the final destination for countless individuals, each carrying with them stories of struggles, sacrifices, and shattered dreams. These were the last resorts for families driven to the brink of desperation. Their sole hope pinned on the slim chance of finding solace within these cold, unwelcoming walls. Within these grim confines, the echoes of despair resonated through the dimly lit halls and dormitories. The air hung heavy with the stench of hopelessness and resignation. In the flickering lamplight, faces drawn and gaunt told tales of hunger and destitution. The men, once filled with vigor and ambition, now shuffled about with weary steps, their eyes dulled by endless toil and deprivation. Women, their faces etched with the hardships of life, clutched their children close, shielding them from the bleak reality that surrounded them. Each child born into this environment carried the weight of their family's sorrow on their tiny shoulders. Their laughter, once innocent and carefree, was replaced by a haunting silence, broken only by the coughs that echoed through the rooms. These children became miniature figures of stoicism, bearing witness to lives interrupted and futures uncertain. Amongst these souls, there was one young girl who stood out in her quiet dignity and resilience. Her name was Alice, and she carried herself with a strength that belied her tender years. As the story unfolds, we will witness how she navigates the labyrinth of the workhouse, offering solace to those around her while battling her own inner demons. Her spirit serves as a beacon of hope in this bleak setting, reminding us that even in the darkest corners, the human spirit can endure. The workhouse bell tolled relentlessly, dictating the rhythm of life for its captive residents. Each chime was a reminder of the drudgery that awaited them. Dawn arrived as a muted visitor, filtering weakly through grimy windows, painting the dormitories in shades of gray. The massive room was a sea of rough wooden beds, each occupied by a resident lost in the labyrinth of their thoughts. Men, women, and children lay huddled together, seeking warmth in numbers. The air was a stifling blend of damp wool and unwashed bodies. As the bell summoned them to rise, the residents stirred, their movements mechanical and devoid of hope. They dressed in the coarse, ill-fitting garments issued by the workhouse, the rough fabric a constant reminder of their captivity. Breakfast was a somber affair. The dining hall, stark and cold, offered little respite from the harsh realities of life within the workhouse. Gruel, a thin, porridge-like substance, was served in chipped bowls. The meager fare, watery and tasteless, did little to stave off the gnawing hunger that plagued the residents. But it was a necessary sustenance, a grim reminder that survival was the only objective that mattered within these cold walls. The morning wore on in a monotonous cycle of labor. The workhouse was no sanctuary for the weak or the weary. The tasks assigned to the residents were menial and unending. In the laundry room, the rhythmic scrubbing of clothes against rough stone boards echoed the hopelessness that permeated every corner of the workhouse, the air thick with the scent of stale water and despair. Outside, the unrelenting sun beat down, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers of misery across the yard. For the women and children, the work was no less arduous. In the sewing rooms, they toiled over their needles, their nimble fingers working at a frantic pace to meet impossible quotas. The rhythmic clatter of their needles seemed to mock their plight, turning their efforts into a macabre dance of futility. The workhouse was a place where individuality was stripped away, where each resident was reduced to a number, a nameless face in the crowd. Theirs was a silent rebellion against the system, a quiet protest woven into the fabric of their daily lives. Their creation bore witness to their suffering, each stitch a silent scream, each seam a whispered plea for a better life. Amidst this somber landscape, there emerged a glimmer of humanity in the most unexpected form. Mr. Bumble, the master of the workhouse, was a man burdened by the weight of his position. His heart ached at the sorry state of those under his care, yet he was bound by duty and tradition. He moved through the workhouse like a ghost, his steps echoing in the cavernous halls, his gaze a mixture of pity and resignation. His encounters with the residents were brief, his interactions devoid of warmth, not due to malice, but because of the icy grip of societal norms. Mr. Bumble represented the conscience of a heartless system, a man caught between his empathy and his obligation to uphold a flawed and unyielding order. In the midst of this grim tableau, Alice found solace in the quiet strength she drew from her late mother's teachings. Her mother, a woman of deep faith and unwavering compassion, had instilled in Alice the values of kindness and resilience in the face of adversity. Now, drawing upon her mother's memory, Alice extended a helping hand to those around her, offering words of comfort and sharing what little food she had. In doing so, she forged bonds of affection that transcended the boundaries of their shared misery. She distributed the meager rations her mother had packed, ensuring that the youngest and most vulnerable received a little extra nourishment. These acts of kindness, though small, created ripples of warmth in the icy landscape of the workhouse. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the workhouse, a sense of unease settled over the residents. News had spread like wildfire through the corridors that a new arrival was on his way, someone who carried with him a reputation that chilled the very marrow in their bones. His name was Oliver Twist. As the gate creaked open, admitting him into the shadowy confines of the workhouse, the residents fell silent, their eyes fixed on the newcomer. Oliver, frail and haggard, stood at the threshold, clutching the worn remnants of his past. His attire, tattered and dirty, was a testament to the hardships he had endured. His journey to the workhouse was a testament to the cruel whims of fate, a narrative of abandonment and neglect that mirrored the sorrows of many within these desolate walls. The workhouse, a place where misery knew no bounds, had welcomed yet another soul seeking refuge from the storm. The sight of Oliver stirred a kaleidoscope of emotions within Alice. Her heart, though hardened by the realities of their surroundings, softened at the sight of the young boy. His emaciated frame and haunted eyes were a reflection of her own struggles, a painful reminder of the innocence lost in the labyrinth of their existence. Seeing Oliver brought back a flood of memories, the echoes of a childhood that had been stolen from her. In his fragile form, she saw a distorted image of herself, a younger version of the resilient girl she had become. With a mix of trepidation and determination, Alice stepped forward. Her eyes, though dimmed by hardship, held a flicker of kindness. She offered Oliver a tentative smile, hoping to ease his apprehension and show him that in this bleak landscape there were still glimmers of humanity waiting to be discovered. Her gesture, small yet significant, was a silent promise that in this world of shadows she would stand as a beacon of hope for the lost and the forsaken. The next morning, as the grim routine of the workhouse commenced, a profound change had occurred within Oliver. Guided by Alice's quiet strength and the echoes of his deceased mother's love, he faced the challenges of their existence with newfound determination. As the workhouse bell tolled, signaling the start of yet another monotonous day, Oliver rose with a resolute spirit. Gone was the timid boy from the day before, replaced by a young man ready to confront his circumstances head-on. His eyes, though still bearing the marks of hardship, now shone with a newfound resolve, a testament to the transformative power of human kindness. Oliver's transformation was not merely a personal evolution, but a beacon of hope that ignited a spark of change within the apathetic walls of the workhouse. His indomitable spirit touched the jaded hearts of the residents, awakening in them a long-forgotten sense of camaraderie. Together, they formed an unlikely community, united by their shared adversities and bound by the prospect of a brighter tomorrow. That night, as the shadows lengthened and the workhouse residents prepared for bed, a sense of unity prevailed. The dormitories, usually echoing with despair, were filled with hushed whispers of encouragement and hope. The bleak walls seemed to vibrate with the silent strength of their collective spirit, a testament to the enduring power of the human soul. As sleep finally embraced them, it was not the hollow, dreamless slumber of the hopeless, but a respite filled with dreams of a better tomorrow, a tomorrow that Oliver and Alice, hand in hand, were determined to create. In the tapestry of life, their stories intertwined, forming a narrative of resilience and hope amidst the darkest of times. Their tale serves as a timeless reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit, much like a flickering candle, can illuminate the darkest of corners, offering solace and strength to those who dare to dream of a better day. And so we come to the end of our time at the workhouse. But before we go, one final story remains, one that will take us beyond the veil of the physical world into the realm of the spirits. This is the final tale of our series, and it carries with it a message of hope, courage, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. As we stand here, the stark reality of the workhouse fading around us, let's imagine ourselves transported back to the heart of Victorian London. The year is 1848, and the city is alive with a mix of old-world charm and burgeoning industry. Gas lamps illuminate cobblestone streets, their glow mingling with the steam rising from vendors' carts and the flicker of candlelight spilling from open windows. Inside one such home, we find a family gathered. There is Mr. Carstone, a man once prosperous, now fallen on hard times. His wife, Mrs. Carstone, her face etched with worry, yet her eyes shining with quiet strength. And then there is their daughter, Kate, a young woman whose gentle spirit shines brightly despite the darkness of their situation. Suddenly, a knock echoes through the room. Mr. Carstone stirs, his gaze hardening. At the door, a figure stands silhouetted against the lamplight. It is a visitor, bringing news that chills them to the bone. Their financial troubles have taken a turn, and their home is in danger of being seized. Hope seems to dwindle, replaced by the looming threat of destitution. In these dark moments, whispers of an extraordinary nature begin to circulate among the family. Spirits, it is said, can cross over, bringing messages or even aid to those who seek their counsel. Mrs. Carstone, ever the pragmatist, dismisses these notions as mere superstition. But Kate, filled with innocence and yearning for a brighter future, clings to the possibility of help from beyond. Her faith unwavering, she visits a local medium, hoping to connect with her late brother Thomas, a source of great joy before his untimely passing. The medium, shrouded in the mystique of the supernatural, guides Kate into a trance-like state, her voice growing distant as she seemingly channels the spirit of the young man. And when Kate emerges from this otherworldly communion, her eyes filled with wonder and sadness, she bears a message from beyond. Thomas speaks of love, of remembrance, and most importantly, of hope for their family's future. He assures her that all will be well, that they should trust in the unseen order of things and hold fast to their faith. Though the path ahead may seem daunting, the presence of his spirit serves as a beacon, urging them not to surrender to despair. Upon returning home, Kate shares Thomas's message with her family, and slowly, a sense of calm begins to settle over them. They still face financial challenges, yes, but the looming threat of utter ruin seems to lose its sharpness. Instead, there is a quiet determination in the air, a resolve born of the belief that they are not truly alone. Mr. Carstone, though initially skeptical, finds himself drawn to the idea that his brother-in-law might be watching over them. In these uncertain times, it is this subtle shift in perspective that makes all the difference. They adapt, adjusting their lifestyle to fit their reduced circumstances and finding solace in the shared stories of their past, especially those involving Thomas. It becomes clear that while their material possessions may be limited, their bond as a family and their faith in the unseen remain steadfast. Meanwhile, Kate, inspired by Thomas's memory, begins to channel her grief into action. She takes up the practice of spiritualism, becoming a conduit between the seen and unseen worlds. She hosts seances, inviting others who have lost loved ones and seeking to provide them with the same comfort and hope that she has found. In doing so, she not only helps ease the pain of those around her, but also establishes a strong community of support. Through it all, Mrs. Carstone stands as a pillar of strength, balancing practicality with compassion. She encourages Kate's spiritual pursuits while also ensuring they remain grounded in reality. She understands the importance of both faith and action, reminding her daughter that while the Spirit may guide them, it is their own efforts that will ultimately lead them out of this challenging chapter. And then one day, unexpectedly, a solution appears. A distant relative, moved by their plight, offers them financial assistance, enough to save their home and lift the immediate threat of destitution. While this news brings relief, it also underscores the depth of their resilience. They have weathered the storm, proving that even in the darkest hours, the human spirit, fortified by love, hope, and the bonds of family, can endure. However, this is not the end of their story, for in the process of helping others, Kate and her mother have grown deeply empathetic toward the struggles of their community. They witness firsthand how economic hardships and societal pressures can weigh heavily on people's hearts and minds. And so, inspired by the strength they found within themselves, they extend a hand to others, offering not just spiritual guidance, but also practical support. They organize charity drives, provide food and clothing to the needy, and advocate for better treatment of those less fortunate. In doing so, they become known not only as spiritualists, but also as compassionate members of their community, their actions echoing the message of hope and resilience that Thomas brought to them in his spectral visit. Now, as we reflect on their journey, let us remember that while our physical circumstances may change, the strength of our spirit, the bonds of our family, and the love we share can serve as anchors in life's storms. The story of the Carstone family reminds us that hope, much like a whisper on the wind, can carry us through the darkest nights and lead us to the first light of dawn. It is a testament to the human spirit's ability to heal, to adapt, and to transform challenges into opportunities for growth. Just as Kate and her mother reached out to their community, let us, too, strive to be beacons of hope and support for those around us. In doing so, we honor the memory of Thomas, the unseen presence that guided them, and we carry forward the legacy of his love and remembrance. And with this final tale, our journey through the shadows of the workhouse comes to an end. We've explored the depths of despair, the heights of hope, and the complexities of the human experience during the Victorian era. If you found this journey enlightening and thought-provoking, we invite you to embark on more adventures with us. Each series is a portal into a different facet of history, inviting you to engage, learn, and reflect. Your choices shape their stories, blurring the lines between past and present. If you enjoyed this trip back in time, don't forget to hit subscribe. By doing so, you ensure that you're among the first to step through the portals we create. With every new series, we are driven by our passion for bringing history to life in a way that is both engaging and thought-provoking. Your support means that we can continue to craft immersive experiences that transport you to different eras and introduce you to the myriad of faces that make history more than just dates on a page. So join us on this exciting adventure and let your journey through time begin. And always remember, the past is never truly past. It's a living, breathing entity that shapes our present and guides our future. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking the hidden stories that make our world so wonderfully intricate. The air in the room is heavy with anticipation, a stark contrast to the biting winter wind howling outside. Sunlight streams through the bay window, illuminating motes dancing in the air and revealing the opulence of the drawing room. Rich mahogany gleams, plush carpets muffle sound, and silk curtains in hues of burgundy and gold frame the scene. Lord Ashworth sits in his high-backed chair, his tailored suit a testament to wealth and status. He is a titan of industry, having built his fortune on expanding railroads across the nation, connecting towns and trade routes, driving economic growth and progress. Yet, within the grand halls of his home, he seeks solace in the finer things, the porcelain teacups, the silver teapot, and the delicate pastries on a nearby table. This is a man who understands power. His empire stretches across the landscape, carrying goods and people to markets and homes. His name echoes in boardrooms where decisions are made that impact not just his own fortune, but the very fabric of the economy. Power brings with it comforts, luxurious homes, fine clothing, and the respect of society. But within the quiet of his home, Lord Ashworth feels the weight of another kind of power, a force as intangible as the wind, yet as potent as any storm. It's the power of social expectation, the unwritten rules that govern the interactions between him and his wife, Lady Ashworth. Their marriage is a strategic alliance, a union of two prominent families, their fates intertwined in a dance of societal obligation and personal ambition. Theirs is a partnership that has produced results, securing alliances and advancing careers. It's a relationship where decorum reigns, where every word, gesture, and even silence is carefully calibrated. Lady Ashworth, with her demure demeanor and tailored elegance, moves through their grand house like a queen in her domain. She holds court in the drawing room, receiving guests with polite smiles and gracious words. Her life is structured, filled with social calls, charity events, and the constant need to maintain their household's impeccable reputation. For her, power comes from her position, the respect commanded by her title and lineage. In this intricate game of social strategy, Lord and Lady Ashworth navigate their roles with precision. They understand the importance of appearances, the value of their public image, and the consequences of any misstep. They are masters of their world, yet they also recognize the boundaries within which they must operate. There is a cost to maintaining this lifestyle, a sacrifice of personal freedom and privacy in the pursuit of societal standing. Theirs is a gilded cage, a life of luxury and privilege, yet one where personal aspirations and desires often take a back seat to duty and decorum. Now let us leave the manicured gardens and marble halls behind and delve into the smoky depths of a London workhouse. Here, amidst the grime and clamor, we meet a different breed of powerful men. These are the factory owners, the driving force behind the Industrial Revolution, who shaped the very course of the era. Among them is Mr. Henry Clayton, a shrewd businessman who owns one of London's largest textile factories. His business acumen has seen him through economic ups and downs, and he knows the value of hard work, discipline, and most importantly, efficiency. His factory is a hive of activity, filled with the rhythmic clatter of looms and the tireless efforts of workers who transform raw materials into finished goods. This is a man who wields a different kind of power, the power of innovation and enterprise. He has recognized the opportunities presented by new technologies and harnessed them to build his fortune. His factory is a testament to his vision and drive, a place where machines work tirelessly to produce goods that will be sold across the country. But his power is not absolute. He operates within the confines of the law and the expectations of his time. There are limits to what he can demand of his workers and how much profit he can reap. He is also subject to the whims of the market, the ebb and flow of demand and supply that determine the success or failure of his business. Unlike Lord Ashworth, who derived his power primarily from his inherited status, Clayton's power is more tenuous. It is based on his ability to adapt, innovate, and outmaneuver his competitors. He is a self-made man, and with that comes a different set of challenges and responsibilities. Now, let's step into the chaotic world of a London street corner where a motley crew of characters are engaged in a peculiar form of power play. A gang of young boys, unhoused and scrappy, vie for dominance in a game that mirrors the cutthroat world of industry and commerce. Among them is young Tommy, wiry and quick, who dreams of a better life beyond the grimy streets and the drudgery of their daily struggles. For these boys, survival is a game in itself. They scavenge for food, shelter, and whatever resources they can find to help them endure the harsh realities of life on the streets. Their camaraderie is fierce, forged in the crucible of their shared hardships, and their loyalty to their group is unwavering. They form a community, albeit an unlikely one, bound together by their need for support and protection. But their existence is precarious. They are invisible to most, ignored or scorned by society, forced to navigate a world that offers them little in the way of opportunities or kindness. Yet, despite their circumstances, they dream, they scheme, and they fight for a chance at a better life. In this microcosm of London's underbelly, we see a different facet of power, the power of survival and resilience. These boys are not passive victims. They are active participants in their struggle, constantly on the lookout for ways to improve their lot, however incrementally. Their resourcefulness is remarkable. Their ability to make do with what they have and to exploit every available opportunity is a testament to their strength and adaptability. They are, in their own way, as much a part of London's industrial revolution as the factory owners and innovators, for they too are shaped by its challenges and changes. Now, in the dimming light of day, we find ourselves in the bustling heart of London. As the sun dips below the horizon, the city comes alive with a vibrant energy, the rumble of horse-drawn carriages mingling with the chatter of hawkers and shoppers. The gas lights begin to flicker on, casting a warm glow on the crowded streets, illuminating the faces of people from all walks of life, their features etched with the hardships and hopes of their daily lives. Among them are the working men and women who are the backbone of London's industrial might. They come from the countryside, seeking work in the factories and workshops that promise a steady wage and the chance at a better life. Their journey is not easy, fraught with the challenges of finding accommodation, dealing with unscrupulous employers, and carving out a place for themselves in a rapidly changing city. Despite the hardships, they persevere, driven by the hope of a better future for themselves and their families. Here on the cobblestone streets, amidst the sights and sounds of daily life, we witness a different kind of power at play. The power of the working class, the collective strength of those who, despite their individual struggles, form a community bound by their shared experiences and aspirations. In this diverse crowd, we encounter individuals whose lives intersect in unexpected ways. There's Thomas, a skilled craftsman who takes pride in his work, yet finds himself caught in the gears of an impersonal machine. His story reflects the changing nature of labor, the shift from skilled artisanship to machine-driven production, a development that both drives industrial progress and threatens traditional livelihoods. Then there's Elizabeth, a young woman who leaves the countryside seeking work in a factory where she finds not only employment, but a sense of independence and camaraderie among her fellow workers. Her journey embodies the changing role of women in society as they increasingly find work outside the home and contribute to the economic growth of the era. Lastly, we meet James, a fiery young man who witnesses the harsh realities of industrial life and begins to question the system that seems to benefit the factory owners at the expense of the workers. His story reflects the growing discontent among the working class, the seeds of socialism and the fight for workers' rights taking root in the hearts of many. As the gaslights illuminate their faces, we see determination, hope, and a quiet strength that will shape the destiny of London and the course of the Industrial Revolution itself. This is a world that is being reshaped by the relentless march of progress, where tradition and modernity collide, and where the human cost of industrial might is all too evident. Yet, amid the grime and the struggles, there's also innovation, resilience, and the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to be swept away by the tides of change. I invite you to continue exploring these themes and ideas further. How did spiritualism impact Victorian society? How does belief in the paranormal intersect with science? What role does sensory detail play in creating atmosphere and suspense? How do authors blur the line between reality and the supernatural? What is the allure of the unknown? These are just a few questions that might help guide you as you dive deeper into the world of Victorian spiritualism and the masterful storytelling of Wilkie Collins. I'm here to help you make sense of this story. Here are my thoughts on the plot and some ways you can dig deeper into this episode. Your experience today took place in the Victorian era, specifically during the height of spiritualism. Spiritualism was a religious movement that began in the mid-19th century and centered around the belief that the spirits of the dead could communicate with the living through mediums. Spiritualists believed that the spirits could manifest themselves in various ways, such as through rapping sounds, moving objects, and even speaking through mediums. This period saw a surge in interest in the occult and the paranormal, fueled by factors like rapid industrialization, urbanization, and advances in science and technology. People were drawn to spiritualism for various reasons, including a desire to connect with loved ones who had passed away, a fascination with the occult, and a search for meaning and comfort in a rapidly changing world. Seances became popular in Victorian homes as a way to commune with the dead, often led by women who claimed to be mediums. During a typical seance, participants would gather in a darkened room and attempt to contact spirits using various techniques. One common method was table turning, where participants would place their hands on a table and attempt to move it to spell out messages from the spirits. Another technique was spirit writing, where a medium would write messages from the spirits using a pencil or pen. As you made your way to the parlor, you noticed the faint aroma of burning tallow and wilted lilacs. This sets a scene in your mind. You know right away that the story is likely set in the past, because neither lilacs nor tallow are strongly associated with the present day. Tallow is rendered beef fat used in candles and soaps, and lilacs were in fashion during the Victorian era. Later, as the story progresses, the mention of gaslight further reinforces the Victorian setting. Gaslighting was invented in the late 18th century and became widely used during the 19th century. It replaced oil and candlelight and was a major innovation in lighting technology at the time. All of these details work together to transport you to a specific place and time, enhancing the overall atmosphere and intrigue of the story. The parlor itself is also described in detail. The velvet drapes, the polished mahogany chairs, and the porcelain bowl of water all contribute to a sense of richness and luxury. Drapes were a common feature of Victorian parlors, used to add color and texture to the space while also serving a practical function in controlling light and privacy. Mahogany was a popular wood for furniture during the Victorian era, and its use in the chairs signifies quality and elegance. The porcelain bowl of water, a key element in the story, serves multiple purposes. Firstly, it reflects the gaslight, adding to the play of light and shadow in the room. This creates a mysterious and slightly eerie atmosphere. Secondly, the bowl is used later as a tool for divination, allowing the medium to see the spirits. This adds to the story's supernatural elements and raises questions about the nature of the unseen world. Before the circle begins, you take a seat in one of the polished mahogany chairs. As you do, you notice a slight tremor in the wood beneath your fingertips. This is an example of foreshadowing. The chair vibrating suggests a disturbance or agitation, hinting at the supernatural events that will unfold. It creates a sense of unease and prepares the reader for the possibility of something extraordinary happening. This subtle detail grabs your attention and makes you more receptive to the strange occurrences that follow. Once you're seated, the medium instructs you to place your fingertips lightly on the edge of the table. Again, this engages your senses, vividly bringing the experience to life. The instructions to place your hands on the table ground you in the physical reality of the scene. The coolness of the wood and the slight tremble you felt when you first sat down create a tactile experience for the reader. By engaging the sense of touch, the story becomes more immersive and draws you deeper into the atmosphere of the seance. The medium dims the lamp, plunging the room into semi-darkness. Only one flickering taper remains between you and darkness. Now your other senses come into play. The dimming of the lights heightens the senses of hearing and sight, making the slightest sounds and movements more noticeable. It creates an atmosphere of suspense and anticipation, building tension as you listen intently for any disturbances. As the medium speaks, you hear the soft murmur of her voice, suggesting a hushed and reverent tone. This contributes to the solemnity and seriousness of the occasion. The reader is made aware of the significance of the moment and the potential for profound experiences. In addition to sound and sight, the sense of smell is also engaged. You catch a faint whiff of something faintly floral, not the lilacs, but something else, perhaps the scent of a once-favored perfume drifting in on an invisible breeze. This olfactory detail adds a layer of mystery and intrigue to the scene. The unexpected appearance of a new scent disrupts the established atmosphere and piques your curiosity. The ambiguity of the scent and its source leaves room for speculation, encouraging the reader to wonder about the unseen presence in the room. Throughout the story, there are elements of doubt and skepticism woven in. You remind yourself to remain calm, to observe, to feel, without rushing to judgment. The inclusion of these thoughts acknowledges the complexity of human perception and the tendency to question extraordinary experiences. It allows the reader to maintain a critical perspective while still remaining open to the possibility of the paranormal. The story encourages a balanced approach, urging you to engage your senses and reason to fully experience the events. One of the most striking moments in the story is the description of the table turning. The medium gently balances the table on two legs. The other two hover just above the carpet. She invites the spirits to tilt the table toward individual guests, signaling letters of the alphabet scrawled on paper beneath. This detailed description brings the action to life, allowing you to witness the movements of the table. The story vividly portrays the table tilting and the choreography of the spirits communicating through letters. This creates a sense of immediacy and draws you into the unfolding events. As the table tilts towards M, then S, then G, each movement is portrayed as a deliberate action, suggesting a conscious effort by the spirits to convey a message. This builds suspense as you anticipate the revelation of the spirits' identity and their potential message. The story masterfully combines sensory details, atmosphere, and pacing to create a compelling and immersive experience. By engaging the senses of sight, sound, and touch, the story transports you to a Victorian parlor where a seance is about to begin. The meticulous descriptions of the setting and the actions create a vivid and atmospheric setting that draws you into the story. The use of foreshadowing, such as the vibrating chair, adds an element of suspense, while the inclusion of skeptical thoughts encourages critical thinking. The climax of the story lies in the table turning, where the spirits are said to communicate through a series of tilts and raps. This detailed portrayal creates a sense of immediacy and anticipation as you witness the unfolding events. Overall, the story is a testament to the power of sensory detail and atmosphere in creating a captivating narrative. As you step into the story, you are immediately enveloped in the sights, sounds, and even smells of a Victorian-era seance. The author's ability to transport you to another time and place is truly remarkable. So what did you think of this experience? How did it make you feel? If you enjoyed this experience, you might want to check out more content like this. And if you have any thoughts or reflections you'd like to share, please feel free to comment below. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the world of Victorian spiritualism. Until next time, stay curious, keep asking questions, and embrace the magic of storytelling.